Hi, everyone. Welcome back to BetMeADate. I'm Dr. Aviva Gaskill, and today I'm going to be speaking with Dr. Williametta Simmons, who's going to be speaking with us about bringing some of the old ways we used to date, old school style, into today's world. Subscribe to our channel for more information on dating challenges that can be tough to overcome. Today, we're going to be talking about what we can learn from old school dating style techniques that we can bring to today's dating world. Stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking with Dr. Williametta Simmons, and she's going to be speaking with us about how we can take some old school dating techniques that we used to use back in the day and apply them to today's world, today's dating environment. Dr. Simmons, can you tell us a little bit about you and your work?
Sure. So thank you so much, Dr. Gaskill. It's nice to be on this platform with you. I am honored. So a little bit about me. As Aviva stated, I'm Dr. Simmons, Williametta, you can call me. I am a licensed psychologist, and ooh, I've been in the field for about 15 years now, and I have a
Doesn't
private.
feel like that long.
I don't feel like that long at all. I have a private practice in Bala Kenwood, Pennsylvania, so a little suburb right outside of Philadelphia. And I also, 2 days a week, I run a program at Temple University Hospital, working with patients with schizophrenia and other severe mental illness. So that's me as a whole. Yeah, that's the gist of who I am.
Awesome, thank you. A small part of who you are. So let's talk a little bit about how we used to date once upon a time versus how we date now, in today's dating environment. What are some major differences that you see in terms of how we used to date versus now?
That's a great question. I think that's coming up more and more in our everyday lives, right? I think the biggest thing for me when I think of traditional dating was before we depended on our family or our friends or our parents to set us up with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I met a good man, and he's this person's son, and you should meet him. And
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much how traditionally it was.
Yeah.
Now we are less dependent on our parents and friends and family to hook us up, because there are lots of other ways in which we could meet people.
Yeah.
I think more the one that's more prominent is dating apps, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of individuals find their partners through dating, and there are tons of them that are tailored to your specific need. If it's am I seeking friends with benefits versus casual dating versus a serious relationship. So that's, for me, that's like the major difference. But then there are other differences that I think that's worth noting. So
Yeah.
one thing is, before, we would end up, whoever we dated was within our geographic location.
Yeah.
Someone from the block, someone from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But now, it's everything's wide open. So
Yeah.
you could date someone out in California, and you see each other every month or every other month. So it's kind of no longer confined or limited to one's geographic location. And
Well,
also,
please. I feel like people are like, yeah, I met someone in Santiago, Chile, and like off I go,
exactly. Or I've had individuals who they went on vacation somewhere and they met someone,
Mhm.
and now they're dating, and they're like, yeah, he's in Australia, but I'm here in the United States, but we're dating. So at this point, it's you can date anyone anywhere in the world. So I think that's a huge piece. um I- the other things, some of us are still hanging on to that as far as dating goes. Men used to be the ones that bear the responsibility of making the first move.
Yeah.
I come up to you and I say hello, and now it's pretty much open. So women can go up to a man and say, hey, what's up? I think you're hot, I think you're handsome,
Yeah.
let's talk. It's no longer that the man must make the first move kind of thing.
Yeah.
um, and then, should I go on? There
Yeah.
are more.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah. I would love to hear more.
And then there's this whole idea of, I think, in the past, when a man would ask, so I'm using it in the traditional sense, so forgive me. So if a man would ask a woman to, for a date, he'd plan the date.
Yeah.
He'd say, we're going to the movies, and they took a lot of pride in planning the date and making sure that it was just right and all of that. And I think now there's a little bit of an expectations of we either do it together, like, so where would you like to go? How should we do it? And I have found increasingly that the woman will plan the date. Okay, let's meet here in this day and age. It's like she plans the date. So that's the other piece that stuck out to me. Another has to do with, before when we would date, the man would say, listen, let's meet out in a public place,
Yeah.
like, I need to get to know you in this public space first. And I am finding more and more that there's this sense of, when we go on a date, it's you and I in a private space, or
Oh,
hang
interesting.
out. Yeah, or come and hang out with, me and my friends, which
Hmm.
kind of take away a little bit of that. If you really want to get to know them, it takes away the intimacy a little
Well,
bit.
it sounds like that it's extreme. Like there's either super intimacy, which quite frankly, like I'm like, oh, that sounds a little dangerous,
Uh-huh.
versus all of a sudden you're meeting someone's friends, which is like the complete opposite. I don't know. And the complete opposite of that, right? Because you can be intimate in public if you don't know everyone else around you. But yeah.
Correct. Correct. So it's taken a lot of adjustment for those of us that are, have been out of the dating game for a while. But, because I work with younger, kind of young adults, you get to hear a lot of these differences, and you really
Hmm.
realize how things have changed significantly over time.
Yeah.
And we just, we're missing out on some of the nuances, and we have to keep up, so that we can understand, where
Yeah.
we're coming from. But
What
yeah, yeah.
what are some of the major advantages and disadvantages that you see of these kinds of issues that come up?
Yeah.
Because it sounds more nuanced than just apps versus in-person dating.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's very true. Some of the advantages, so the advantages for, say, more modern dating, I think the biggest advantages is a lot of individuals will say, well, I don't have to be confined to just someone that my mom or my dad or my sister says I should date. You
Hmm.
can date whomever,
Hmm.
and they don't have to be just in your neighborhood. So that's an advantage. The other
Hmm.
advantage for those of us that are, professionals, and that are really busy, is that it's efficient, because you're cutting out the, okay, I've got to go to meet this person, and then that person and that person. It's, I can look through my apps, and I can decide who makes sense, who doesn't make sense. I don't have to go through all of the multiple dating experiences
Hmm.
and realize it's just not working. So it's efficient for those that have busy schedules and that are professionals and so forth and so on. The disadvantage, I've thought of a few disadvantages, and there probably are more advantages, and so forgive me, but some of the biggest disadvantage that stuck out to me is the fact that you don't get a good feel of the person right away.
Hmm.
So what I mean by that is, if it's, first of all, if it's someone my mom or my dad or my friend is introducing to me or recommending,
Hmm.
they've experienced that person, and they're basing it off of something that they know about them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they have my best interest at heart. They know, or at least think they know, what I like. So they are searching the best of the best for me, right?
Hmm.
And with modern dating, there's almost a sense of, first of all, people can lie on their profiles. They can
Hmm.
say, I am this and that and the other, and then it turns out, that's the biggest thing I hear a lot from my peeps that are dating. They're like, it was all just a lie. It was
Yeah.
all,
I feel like that comes up in every single episode that I do.
okay.
Lying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or inauthenticity.
yeah, exactly. There's this, because you can, and sometimes maybe it's a lack of awareness of, some of it is blatant, but others is, this is who I think would be appealing to someone out there. So that's what I'm going to say, and maybe I have a little bit of that characteristic, or maybe it's something that I'm working towards. So I don't know that it's always, intentionally, I'm going to be blatantly inauthentic,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think that there's this, we call it positive impression management. What can I put out there that might be appealing to someone else?
Mm-hmm.
So you can be whomever you want to be online.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a disadvantage because you don't necessarily know who you're going to encounter.
Well, and
Um,
on the other end, right, the person may be less trusting of who they see and what they see if you were misrepresenting yourself online, or just in general, because so many people misrepresent themselves online.
exactly. That's a really good way to put it. That's that misrepresentation of oneself.
Yeah.
That's very true. And the other thing, in our minds, we have a sense of who we think we would want. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have like certain traits that I'm looking for. They have to be this way and that way. I can tell you right now that my trait that I was looking for in a partner isn't necessarily who my husband is. Because sometimes we're
Truly.
like, must be 6'6" and super wealthy and a genius and
Yeah.
like all of these really insane things that we come up with. And it may not always be that. But I think with modern dating, the person may not fit that criteria, but we truly could be missing out on an opportunity where there's just natural chemistry between you and another person, but because they didn't fit your criteria or your
Mm-hmm.
standard, you could like swipe left on them and realize,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I missed an opportunity with someone.
Yeah.
you um that one's such a tricky one because sometimes it's hidden in, people will say it's my sexual preference for this particular ethnicity or race or
Mm-hmm.
gender, and there are other things underneath all of that, but you never know. You never know who you would have chemistry with, and
Yeah.
you might just click with. So I think it takes away a little bit of that because we weed out people that we may have, otherwise had a great time with.
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely. So, what are some ways that you see that younger daters, or maybe just people who are out there dating again in like a modern era, can kind of bring some of these older thoughts, ideas, techniques, even that we used to date with, that you were talking about, into today's dating age with technology? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think there are a number of things that fell along the wayside that could still be pulled upon.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest things, I do think, if you're, first of all, I think that you should still keep chivalry alive, because it's just a beautiful thing from a woman's perspective. A girl wants to feel like, oh, opening the door and walking the person to the car and making sure they got home safely. Those are things that are still important, and I think you can still draw on
Mm.
that. It really makes you stand out, you
Yeah.
know, you know, and this, even in this modern day, people still want a little bit of that.
Yeah, and I think even in for a heterosexual woman, if she is not interested in that,
Mhm.
then you can respect that she is not interested in that too, and that's okay. But I think you're right. Like offering it is nice.
Yes.
Um, and it's one thing for night. It's nice for couples um, who are gay, or in sort of the queer identifying world too, where like, or trans identifying world, they may not have to worry about that as much too, which is kind of nice. Like, it's sort of like, there can be chivalry, but it's not this prescribed thing as much, and that's nice too.
Yeah, for sure. What I like about today's dating scene is that people can be open and honest about what they want out of a relationship, what their expectations are. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a bad idea to offer. I think what's really cool is that your partner or the person that you're dating can say, "Oh, I'm not big on that," or
Mm-hmm.
"Well, I really like that." And but the fact is that you offered it and
Yeah.
gave them an opportunity to accept or say, "It's just not my thing,"
Yeah.
and that. Okay.
Yeah.
I think there has to be room for someone to say, yeah, it's not my thing, you know?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that. But offering it out.
Yeah, I think offering it is a good thing. The other thing is, back traditional dating was like dinner and a movie kind of thing,
Mhm.
and I think it's could be considered a little boring in this day and age. So, what I usually see, and I think it's a really cool spin on dinner and a movie, is to plan activity dates.
Yeah,
So a date where we take dance lessons together, or a
yeah,
date where we cook together, or we make some, I don't know, painting with a twist kind of activity. It's really cool because it's something that you're doing together, but it's a spin on like our usual dinner and dinner and a movie, but it's an actual date. Not
yeah,
let's hang out with my friends. It's nothing wrong with planning an actual date. So I think
yes,
some of that can be pulled into today's modern, modern world. So yeah,
yeah,
um, it's not. It's never a bad idea. Well, I shouldn't say never. It's not a bad idea to have, if you're serious about someone that you're dating. It's a good idea to have your friends and your family kind of get a sense of who they are. I think that that is still something that could be used today, because sometimes we could be dating someone and we're so into them and we can miss certain things,
hmm,
certain attributes of them that may not be as ideal, or that you may ignore because you're like, but his eyes are so dreamy,
yeah.
those kind of
The
things.
red flags, the yellow flags.
The yellow flags, but family members with a more objective eye, or friends, might be able to see those things,
Yeah,
and you want trusted, objective, family members and friends because they would tell you, as it is. So those are some things I think could be pulled in.
yeah. Oh, that's great. Do you have any other thoughts, any other ideas, any kind of final things people should keep in mind in terms of bringing, um, you know, how we used to date into today's world?
Yeah. Hmm. Well, so one thing that I, yeah. So I think I mentioned I'm heavy on this whole piece of, being reliant on a second opinion of a
Yeah.
person, even though they're not dictating the course of your relationship. It's
Yeah.
just good to have a second opinion. I do think this isn't so much additional things that can be pulled in, but I think that I want to just look at both traditional dating and modern dating and think about it in terms of similarities. I think ultimately there's, when it comes to dating, there's still this fear and excitement about dating that's
Yeah.
there. It's like, I don't know how this is gonna end up, but I'm also really exhilarated and excited about it.
Yeah.
So I think those things still exist, and it's okay that they still exist. And I mention them because there's nothing wrong with being a little bit fearful around the idea. And there's, because sometimes I've heard people say, "Is something wrong with me? Why am I like terrified going in?"
Yeah.
Like, no, it's actually quite normal, to be
Yeah.
a little bit fearful about, especially these days, if it's not someone it is fearful.
Or I was thinking healthy in some ways, right? It's like it's healthy to have butterflies in your stomach if you're really excited about somebody.
It is, exactly. And I do think that a lot of people still depend on their friends and their inner circle to kind of like define or figure out dating rules and norms. So what we're talking about now, it's like it's healthy to have a little bit of butterfly. We need
Yeah.
someone to tell us that, that
Yeah.
it's healthy. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Or the other thing is, as far as what else can be pulled in, well, we mentioned chivalry. I think, offer it and it can be accepted or declined. I think that activity dates, yeah, I mentioned the key things that I wanted to mention as far as like
Awesome.
things that could be pulled in.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for talking with us about this today. I think it's so important because people have different ideas. I mean, and people who are dating at different ages, right? That about how we used to date, what dating is supposed to be, why isn't it this way? And they can feel weird or different about it. And so I think it's really important for us to be able to talk about all of this. So thank you for your time and your energy. Um, Dr. Simmons, where can people who are interested in finding out more about you and your practice and your work find out more about you?
Yes, sure. You could find out more about me on my practice website. It's ipcswellness.com. So ipcswellness.com. And you can find us out there. You can find out everything you need to find out about IPCS, which stands for Integrative Psychological and Consulting Services. That's us. And we are located in Bala Kenwood. It's a nice little free parking, beautiful spot, awesome, awesome area. Love it.
Right
And
outside of Philly. Yeah.
yes, exactly. Right in Philly. And if you wanted to shoot me an email personally, I'm just Dr. Simmons at ipcswellness.com. Yeah, I check my emails. You can
Perfect. Thank you so much.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful discussion and thank you for all that you do.
Don't forget to check us out on betmeadate.com to overcome all your dating goals. Like, subscribe, comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.